All right, welcome everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good to see you guys.
Good to
Hi.
see you too.
All right, so we're gonna start with introductions and then I'm really excited to dive into the panel. So quickly, my name is Uptin. I am a journalist, video creator, making videos about tech, money, and cultures. Excited to be here today. Let's start with you. Let's start with your introduction.
Thanks very much. Yeah, so I'm Nick Jones. I'm the CEO of Zumo, one of the two co-founders. We're a crypto wallet and payments infrastructure platform based in the UK with a D2C and a very fast-growing embedded crypto as a service option for financial institutions.
Abby?
Awesome. Hey everyone, I'm Pavi, and we're talking about Gen Z and the future of investing. And fun fact, I'm Gen Z on this panel. So I'm 16 years old, and I'm currently working on a lot of AI and health tech, but also looked really deep into nanotechnology, and even worked alongside Walmart over the summer. So lots of cool things, but I'm pumped to be on this panel.
Awesome, good to have you.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Benjamin Chemla, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Shares. Shares is basically the first social trading platform for the next generation of investors. And I'm also Pavi's best supporter and
Awesome.
fan.
So let's dive right in. What is the number one thing that makes Gen Z different as an investor compared to the millennials and generations before? Anyone?
I think it's really about the social aspect of Gen Z. I was actually talking to someone yesterday at the conference, and they have a kid. They have a few children that are teenagers. He was drinking a plastic water bottle, and his kids looked at him and gave him a death stare. And it's all about the fact that we do care about climate change, we care about sustainability, we care about these social issues, which is what sets Gen Z apart. Past millennials, it's been a lot about the money, right? And of course we care about the money, but it's what is the company doing? What is their CSR? What are they doing to help society? And that's what really sets us apart from millennials.
Yeah, I think that's a really useful point to pick up on, and certainly it's something that we've thought about pretty deeply as a business. We have a pretty well-developed decarbonisation strategy for crypto, which is fairly unique in the space, helping lead that global conversation. And we know when we poll our users, when we ask them their opinion, particularly the Gen Z users, that 80% plus care about electricity usage from Bitcoin mining. They care that we have a decarbonisation strategy. They care that they can take control of it. So I think definitely that social aspect, and underpinning that social aspect is education and the desire for self-education.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think Gen Z's, it's a generation that really grew up with social network. Any decision they will make will be taken following chats, discussions on social networks. Should I buy these shoes? Should I go to these restaurants? So it was kind of logics that financial decision will kind of follow the same logic. And we on Shares are quite surprised because more than 65% of our investors on Shares in the UK only are under 25 years old, out of like 250K downloads. So that's quite significant.
So Ben, you were showing me the app. Looks great. So traditionally, a lot of times when we do invest, we go to, I guess, the more traditional audience, the more traditional generations would go to like Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, see exactly, where should I invest? I need to learn from these curated experts from the mainstream media, right? And then the past 10 years has been kind of more of a shift to like YouTubers. Who's your favorite YouTuber? What are they saying to buy? I want to buy that as well. But now your prediction based on looking at your app is that it's going to be a lot based on my friends. What are my friends buying? How are they trading today? What are they selling? So talk to me about that. Is that a smart move for us as investors, and is that really where we're going?
Absolutely. I think it's all about trust and putting your money where your mouth is. And so on Shares, you can follow your friend's portfolio, you can follow their moves. So it's not only like listening to people telling you what to do, it's actually like seeing what they do on their own portfolio, how they manage it, and you can follow their moves and make decisions based on these signals. And I think this is very powerful.
And if my friend buys Tesla and 2 days later it goes down 15%, can I unfollow him or unfriend him or yell at him somehow?
You can find new friends on Shares.
I guess the main thing though, whatever generation you're from, but particularly is just making sure you're educated enough to make your own decisions. And I think social proof is super interesting. I think there's a healthy level of skepticism around influencers and what's being kind of shilled on crypto Twitter, for example, and other places. And I feel like that kind of mania around just following those influencers has subsided, and that Gen Z have a more critical eye, which is fantastic. Social proof is super interesting. But just doing your research, and the onus is on us as financial services providers to provide great content to augment the research that users are making, and to really help promote financial education and financial literacy across the board, not just amongst the wealthy who are typically super financially literate. The further you go down the wealth spectrum, the less financially literate people can be, and what we need to do is, one, enable people to make better decisions and help them do their research, but also let Gen Z users make, we were talking about this earlier, Pavi, make these small incremental investments and learn by doing. And that's something that we say to users. We say to people all the time, people ask me all the time, should I buy Bitcoin? And obviously I say I can't give you any advice around that, but you should. If you're going to do it, do these small steps, learn by doing it, learn by being in it. So I think that's kind of our responsibility as an industry to that generation, is to build platforms that enable people to do that kind of test and learn themselves.
Yeah, and even to add on a lot to what Nick said, but at TKS we have this saying called, you're the sum of the 3 closest people you're around. So if you have your friend buying something like Tesla, you're most likely going to do it, especially if it's one of your best friends, right? But we also see a huge trend within social media. So fun fact, Gen Z is 5 times more likely to actually take advice from social media than they are to take advice from someone who's 41 years old or plus. So obviously you see, they follow the trends, right? But even with what Nick said, what I really like about his company is that they do it in increments. So a huge part of Gen Z is we have a knowledge gap. We don't know where to invest. We do it because our friends do it, right? It's the whole culture, almost like sheep mentality, which is another mindset actually. But with doing small increments, you're doing a compounding action over time. You're building those habits. You understand, okay, I do this once. Okay, I did something wrong. Let me go change that. And you're doing it every week. Let's say you're investing $20 every week. That compounds so much, and you get long-term investments. Another thing about long-term investments, actually, so the holding time of stocks has decreased from 8 years to 5 months. So if you're getting Gen Z so early on, then they end up being these long-term investors, which are great for companies, which is why companies have to cater towards Gen Z back to that social change.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second. I mean, so I agree with you when you're talking about, social proof, and my friends, my friend might, I might really take his advice when it comes to sunscreen or running shoes. But a lot of my friends are idiots, right? Should I really be trusting them? And should Gen Z be trusting, the random people on TikTok to know what to buy? I mean, it's their money at the end of the day, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it comes back to the knowledge gap. So we don't know who to trust. And like Ben mentioned, we grew up with the internet. We grew up with a phone in our pocket. The people we trust are the people that we follow, right? So if I am following 200 people on TikTok, I do follow them, right? I'm kind of listening to what they're saying. I'm going to do things that they also do. And I'm like, you know what? They do this. They've been successful in this. I should be able to do it too. And so it's almost like I mentioned, like the sheep mentality of Gen Z. And there's a whole thing of meme stocks. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about meme stocks, right? And when there's kind of a big social push towards stocks, if you see that a lot of people are doing something because it's just a trend, then the shares end up rising so high. The price of the stock ends up going so high, which is something that companies I think have to look into too, right? I think there was a study about this YouTuber who was looking into, talking about GameStop Corporation, and they were saying, GameStop stocks are about to rise. They rose from $5 to $50 in just, I think, a week's time span. So whether we even think that it's a good idea or not, Gen Z is already doing it. It's already a trend. So we know that millennials, they have their habits. Gen Z has this habit of really going with the trend and going with the flow.
I want to turn to crypto a little bit. So a lot of times you're getting first-time investors get into it downloading apps because Bitcoin, right? They heard that Bitcoin's just surging and they can make so much money. Obviously, we're in a very difficult position right now when you look at it in terms of its high for the year and even last year. So is that a challenge, particularly when getting new users? Is you can't really bank as much on getting those people rallied up about crypto, or are you still seeing that enthusiasm?
I think from our side, to speak to that, again, it's about trying to be on the kind of the right side of that conversation. So it's about transparency, it's about education, it's about allowing users to understand what it is, helping them go on that journey, allowing them to self-custody their assets, get the benefits of crypto beyond just Bitcoin going up and down. Maybe that's accessing Web3 platforms, accessing NFTs, doing pay-to-earn gaming. So it's about kind of being on the right side of the conversation, not being on the kind of get-rich-quick scheme side of the conversation. And our industry has been guilty multiple times over 3 different cycles of promoting get-rich-quick schemes, borderline Ponzi schemes as part of the life cycle. We've seen that in the last year with the blow-up of a couple of the well-known DeFi platforms and the kind of people losing a lot of money around that. And we know that was indexed heavily towards younger people and people who couldn't afford to lose the money. So part of that is about us growing up. Part of that is about having some kind of governance in place. That's not the most sexy word in the world, but governance is super important for any financial services company, and remembering that that's what we do in crypto. We are the guardians, or we're helping people make the right decisions on their money. So it's not the most exciting time to be investing in crypto right now, but the right companies in our space are building through the bear market, another cliche, but are building products, the next generations of products and services. Every time crypto goes through this cycle, the next iteration is better, has better companies involved, it has more governance, has a bit of regulation around it, which helps give a framework for people to not lose all their money, which is what we all want. And so I think we'll see, as we come out of this cycle, we'll see some really exciting stuff being built, better use cases, remittances, micro investments, better use cases around NFTs, collectibles coming through and giving Gen Z and others more choice around how they make their investments. But again, it's around individuals doing their diligence and really understanding the projects that they're putting their money into. And again, just that watchword, if it looks and smells like a get-rich-quick scheme, then it most likely will be.
Yeah, I think like right now cryptos are becoming a mainstream investment. It's no longer something very special and unique. It's part of any portfolio diversification. And actually we at Shares are adding crypto this month in our friends and family launch in Europe, because we're a big believer in cryptos on the long term. You can scan me if you find me in the Web Summit to have an early access. But yeah, I mean, getting back to the initial question regarding Gen Zs and trust, I think after listening to Pavi, we can't say that Gen Zs cannot be very smart and special, for sure. And I think before technology, it was not possible. Technology is what really changed the game. It's what created this easy access to finance. It used to be expensive. It used to be exclusive to an elite. And right now, you can buy €1, invest €1. So there is way less barrier to entry, and that's what really create this huge opportunity. And so yeah, we at Shares are super excited about diversification of all the assets within the platform and bringing more people to the conversations.
So Pavi, you talk a lot about the knowledge gap. What's 1 or 2 ways in which you think the knowledge gap will be closed over the next few years?
I think it's definitely, again, going back to social media, but also people that are at positions like Nick or like Ben that are at the CEO position. I really this is what I love about Nick. He's so transparent and he's so honest, which is what Gen Z wants, right? So he just talked about transparency, and he talked about the fact that maybe it's not the best time to invest in crypto. If Gen Z hears that from someone who is at such a high level with such high experience, they're like, okay, maybe I can trust this person. Let's look into what they're doing. So if you are, one of the main things is just to be honest, and that's the best way to go over the knowledge gap. And even if you are a company that is, at a really high position, look into how you can get into the social media market. There's something known as finfluencers now. And so these people are giving advice online, but how can you give the right advice and make sure you're not having bias towards what these people are learning on social media? I think that's 2 of the hugest things.
What is one thing that is challenging for you over the next year, for everybody? Something keeping you up at night?
It's probably always regulation in our space. That's kind of a standard answer. Like we as an industry know that regulation's super important because it's a frame of reference. It gives consumers confidence and it's necessary. But speaking of a knowledge gap, globally there's a knowledge gap with regulators and what to do with the space. So, just understanding and looking at how that evolves globally. There's no real kind of global consensus yet around what that should look like. That is, from a founder point of view, that keeps me awake at night far more than whether Bitcoin's going to go up or down, because we obviously, like Ben, we believe in the long-term future of the asset class and the fact that as more and more people come into it, it will grow.
I'm honestly just really excited about the fact that Gen Z is getting into the space, right? I've heard tons about investing. All my coaches at TKS talk about it. But the fact that we're finally being considered, where people and companies are working on, okay, how can we incorporate Gen Z? That's what's keeping me up. That's what's keeping me so pumped. And I'm so honestly just interested in talking to these 2 about investing.
So what keeps me up at night? First, my baby, for sure. And second, obviously, expansions. I think it's a regulatory space, so obviously there are a lot of challenges that go with it, and we want to move fast, but obviously it is also subject to discussions with regulators, and tech, as usual, moves faster than regulations. But other than that, yeah, I think expansion is the name of the game for us.
So when we talk about content, social media and all that, so I founded an agency where we make videos for companies. And one thing we find and tell our clients is, iPhone selfie mode is going to get a lot more views than a beautiful studio lighting DSLR. And this is what we do, right? We only work in iPhone, and that's how videos go viral. So I want to know, when it comes to content creation or trusting finfluencers, what are some things that you think resonate well with audiences for companies to try to reach their audience, particularly when it comes to investing?
So I'm going to start with, if that's okay, just to pick up on your point, Pavi, is transparency. I think it's so important. Just tell it how it is, and be really straightforward, and and be really careful about who you're choosing to use as your amplifiers, and just be as straightforward as you can and explain things in really, really simple ways. All of our best videos, all of our best explainers are those. They're really helping users to get under the skin of things and understand. And assume that your audience has the most diverse possible knowledge level, from people who've been in it since the very beginning to people who are terrified about blockchain and crypto in our space. So I think, I would say that is transparency from our side of things.
Yeah, I think it's all about micro-learning. So something at TKS we do is that we don't have these huge long courses for 2 hours learning about, how do you invest? What is this? What is that, right? We have very short videos because Gen Z loves micro-learning. We like short things. We like simple things. So how can you make it easy to comprehend, short, but also exciting? You don't need a huge studio. You need a small little ring light on your phone, and you need it to be, portrait mode, but also just making it short, making it easy to understand because of the huge knowledge gap. And I think it's also interesting how companies are getting into the ad space, right? A lot of people and companies on TikTok, for example, you see these ads, right? But how can you actually expand that? How can you go further than just saying, we have RBC doing this, we have TD doing this. How can you go, you can do this. We have this new thing for Gen Z. How can you market it in a way that is catered to Gen Z? I think that's what companies can really focus on.
Yeah, at Shares, same. Content is key, and what we've seen over the last couple of months, we have a creative studio within the team, is that the content that are performing the most are the ones that are educative. So people are really keen to learn in a fun and easy way. It needs to be organic and natural, but definitely educational content is what performs the best.
Awesome. And one last question before we wrap. We have a very dynamic crowd in the audience today. Tell everyone who you're looking to connect with this week at Web Summit.
I'm looking to connect with anyone who is interested to join the platform for our European launch in this month. So super excited. And anyone else, journalists or VCs for our next couple of years, would be happy to connect with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, quick note, if you're in the crypto space, go to Nick, he is your guy. And if you're in the social space, go to Ben, he is your guy. For me, I'm really into the AI and health tech space, so all about disease detection, voice-based biomarkers, and solving real-world problems. Anything like that, pumped to talk about it.
Great, yeah, just real simple. If you want to add crypto to your platform, and you've got a fintech platform, neobank or otherwise, and you want to add crypto, whether it's non-custodial or custodial wallets or exchange solutions, come and find me or somebody in my team over the weekend. But thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you around Web Summit. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.